What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Buckets and Banter podcast. I am your host, George Marshall, alongside my co-host, Jeffrey Oscar Bendel.
Oscar.
Uh, do your JOB, Jeff. That's why I thought of that one, making sure that we're staying on task today for episode number 4.
Wow.
You,
Howdy.
you appreciate the thought of that?
Yeah, I think you might be putting more thought into that than our actual topics.
That's probably true. Sadly true. First of all, thanks everyone for the continued support. It was great to see the Space Jam segment in particular pick up so many comments and traction. It was really cool to hear texts and read texts rather, and to hear everyone's different takes on it. I saw some people were trying to like throw their own spin on it, which I thought was really cool, but we appreciate everyone's support. Um, it's been awesome. I mean, to see this just kind of like be what it is, I think is really important. We're not having guests on. We're just, again, trying to find out what exactly this podcast is. And I think that now that we've got our sections down, we're starting to gain confidence moving forward. I think you would agree with that.
Yeah, no guess yet. Maybe some in the
Yeah.
near future. Yeah.
Quick fixes. So remember, we're always going to start with these as we start talking about the rest of our topics. We'll get into the comedic stuff and the top fives in a second, but what do you got for quick fixes for us?
I think that might have been our first clean show.
Clean sheet?
I don't have anything. I don't have any errors.
That is impressive. Jamie did correct us on one thing, which was the high school that Julius Randle attended. I think it was Prestonwood Academy, is what he said. So that is the only blemish on an otherwise fantastic show. Um, I just like it's been good. That's a good thing to have. I think that you want to remain humble after a show like that, but you also want to continue to find new ways to improve.
Facts. I agree.
I I did start to receive comments mostly from my mother regarding you should buy yourself a better microphone, to which I responded, with what money will that take place? Um,
Do it.
Mom, I just don't think that's in the cards right now. I think that we're soundly at this $0 budget and we're just going to keep rocking it out moving forward.
The only way that we would spend money is if the somehow there was money generated for us to then have.
Right,
Any money gained from the podcast, we will spend. So feel free to donate.
right.
We'll put a GoFundMe in the bio. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Get Jeff and George legitimate equipment so that they don't look like the way they look when we're starting our Zoom and our podcast. All right, here's the topics for today. So we're going to start with a topic related to, um, I think it's comedy. I don't know if other people will think it's comedy, but we're going to talk about these influencer teams. So specifically, influencers on social media, that's become a massive deal. More Jeff's generation than mine. Um,
Younger than me. I'm not as young as you're implying.
But regardless, are they good? Are they bad? What are they? So, I mean, you experienced this firsthand this weekend at the Saros Invitational. So, can you kind of talk us through like what has become of the AAU space when it comes to social media influencers and travel basketball teams?
Yeah, well, first let's start with talking about that event. I think it that event was actually somewhat unique in a sense where there was actual money at stake
Yeah,
and there were real stakes. When it comes time for August basketball, you see there's typically a downtick in effort, and it's just not good basketball typically. But with actual stakes and real money in play, you saw that these kids were playing much harder, and there was much more motivation to win. That said, with these teams kind of put together, these all star like teams made for content. I think it has its pluses and its minuses. Obviously, on one hand, it is really exciting. Like I think it is really fun to
right.
an extent to have these all star level teams with compiling talent, and you see they bring some guys, Alan Shee or
Hmm.
Ace. I forget his name,
Meek.
Ace, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah,
He's,
Meek.
yep.
That's right. They bring those kids, but then they compile. They take a bunch of kids from this area: Bryce Wiersma, Aiden Johnson, Thomas Vickery, etc. So um, it is fun to see those guys compete with other against other All Star teams, and they're playing at a high level and they're really competing. Um, on the negative side, though, even if the atmosphere is great and it's fun and there's a lot of people and a lot of fans, it isn't great basketball. It is really
Mhm.
pickup style esque. I even watched some of the video just to see, and it wasn't encouraging good basketball in the huddles. It was very little coaching, which again, it's travel basketball, and these teams are put together in a couple of days. So how much are you really going to implement? How much are you going to really practice? Probably not that much,
Right.
but it just encourages kind of whatever basketball or bad basketball, if you will. So again, I thought that in this instance it didn't really apply, but you see so much of it becomes mockery and just feeder for content.
I think that did you see the video of Cam Wilder play for Rod Wave Elite on overtime?
Yeah.
What's the like what are your thoughts initially? Because my initial impression, and I think that it's important to get full context before speaking on it, is do we know that that was an AAU tournament or was that an adult league type of thing? Because people are like really going in right now, making it seem like he played on Tyron Stokes' team and he was 7 years older than the other players on the team. Um, so like I don't know. Like I think that that's an important question
Well,
because
I
if he's
agree.
playing against 22-year-olds, that's not a big deal. If he's playing
Right.
against 17-year-olds, I think it's weird.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that. I think first of all, I'd never heard of this guy until this all this past stuff this from this weekend
Sure.
kind of blew up about how he's older and all that. But we actually had a potential instance for that at our own event, and when the player was brought up, it was declined, like denied. We weren't going to allow that. So that really falls on the organizer to put a
Hmm.
stop to that. So I think that that's kind of, if you want it to be a circus, it can be, but in the right context and confines, I think it can be useful and productive to it
Yeah.
to a degree.
I don't have any issue with it being run the way that that event was run for the Saros Invitational because I like the money on the line aspect of it. I think it's unique. I think it gave kids a little extra to play for. I think it gave coaches a little extra to coach for, especially when you talk about forming these all-star level rosters. My thing, Jeff, is like I'm just so old. Like I thought it was DWAC, not DWAC. Like I
Yeah,
didn't know
I,
that that
I,
was a thing.
I didn't know
That
either.
like I really didn't, and that's not a knock to like the work that he's doing, but like I legitimately didn't know. When I said that to my players the other night when they were at school getting some stuff ready, they just thought it was hysterical, like total laughing stock to not know who this person was.
You're so old,
Um,
coach.
but the other thing that I'll say that I like about it is it's undeniable that in this situation and in other situations, putting kids in the right platform and having them succeed matters. And there were players that you saw, you mentioned, who was it that you mentioned? Not Ace, but um,
From that drifty team. I mean, you had
yes,
guys like Aiden Johnson, Alan Shee was the other guy that they brought.
Allen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that Aiden played extremely well, and obviously he put on for NC in that way. But Allen, I mean, like challenging things at the rim and the highlights, really cool to see like just different elements of people's games in that way. There were a number of younger players who also made great names for themselves and were shouted out on your list and Pat's list. And like those are game changing and potentially career changing things. I mean, Jamie being there, Jamie Shaw reporting for On Three, um, Trent Markwith being there, being there for Relentless Hoops. Like these things matter tremendously. And I think that going back to what we talked about with Caleb Matthews last week when I was shouting him out on signing his professional contract, he maximized every platform. So every time he had the chance, he did what he was supposed to do. Some kids just candidly aren't given that chance. And sometimes that's due to the constraints of the teams that they're on or the high schools that they attend. But sometimes when you're put in that arena, you have to deliver. It
Yeah,
can't be like that's the thing that I think is lost within all of this is like this is all fine and this may be a separate conversation that I'm thinking about in this way, but like at the end of the day, when you get the chance to perform at a high level, you have to perform at a high level. Those first few games were total crap. Everyone knows it. The brackets are designed in such a way in those events so that you get the matchups you want that's going to increase the engagement, increase the excitement. And in some age groups, that happened. Like I think that the matchup in the 15 and under division is what people wanted it to be. Now it was a blowout, that's a separate conversation, but it was the matchup that people were waiting for, which I think is great. But the flip side of that is that when you get those moments, you better shine.
yeah,
Because if you don't shine, then it comes back to, oh, well, he's been treated unfairly. They hated on him. No, no, you didn't play good.
right.
Like if you're going to be in that arena, you have to deliver. And
Well,
that's the
right.
bottom line. So I give major praise for that because I actually think the dynamic of the 5 grand, the dynamic of all these things really added an extra element that made it a very successful event.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I think it was one of those things where it's if you wanted to show up and play casual, you kind of got exposed.
Hmm.
Um, Guys who were playing hard really shined and produced as a result.
Right. 100%. I also think that there's just like, I don't know. I mean, I think that our state as a whole right now the unity of North Carolina basketball is just really bad. It's not in a situation right now that is productive, and I'm sure that, as a coach of a team that is competitive and has been for a number of years, and now the director of a travel or an AAU spot or excuse me, Adidas sponsored team, I know that I'm a part of the problem. Like I get it, like I understand, and I don't know how to fix that, nor do I think that there are other people in that circle willing to fix it in this state. Um, and I think that what happens is you end up with events like this, and people get so drawn to the negative. Like, oh, it's this again. Like, it's whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, th this is not their legitimate AAU teams. Like, they did this with one intention. It was to win 5 grand and it was to play and have fun. Like, I don't know, or two intention, I guess.
Sure.
But it just seems very strange to me how I don't know that we'll ever get on the same page to see eye to eye in that way. That is a topic that I'd love to discuss more. If you have any quick thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's one of those things where it just varies by instance because I agree this weekend was productive. Um, but I saw in the same weekend other places where it wasn't as much.
Mhm.
So yeah, I agree. But whatever you have.
Cool. Well, shout out to the people who are able to host the event. I know Phenom, Saros, you guys did a tremendous job. Shout out to the winners of each division. I know that from what I understand, one team, I think at the 17 and under level, had been together all summer and then won, which is pretty cool.
16.
16s did that. Okay, very cool. I mean,
Team takedown beat some name opponents on their path to victory.
and so when you think about kind of the process and the development plan and all the things we've been talking about, it's kind of poetic justice that you would see an instance like that. Some teams legitimately were just too dominant. Um, 15U D-Walk, like holy crap, that was a roster and a half.
Right.
Um,
Carolina Rockets.
right, Carolina Rockets. But even them, that's a team that it's not the same as Team Takedown, but they have played together forever.
A lot of those kids have definitely played together in the past for sure.
100%. So, I mean, pretty amazing to see kind of the way that those things work. But shout out to the event as a whole. I hope that in the future we can get on the same page with more of this. I just don't know that that's going to be in a place. This is what everyone says. I'm willing to be the what does that mean? Like, so you and 6 people can go have the conversation. That's not how it works. Like, if it's not everybody, then and part of it is like it's just always going to be something. So just continue to operate from a place of love for kids and making sure that they're doing the best. And I think that If more people did that, then the whole space would be in a much better place. But we'll get to that in a second. All right, next topic. Top fives. So I'm excited for this one and a little nervous because whenever you start bringing up specific players and coaches, people are always going to get upset about the most random nonsense. And the fact that we're about to list players means that coaches or players themselves potentially will say, "Oh, you're hating because I wasn't on blank." Guys, it's a top five list that immediately comes to our minds. And this is what the top five list is. We're talking about breakout players in the state this year. So, guys, based on their current situations that are in a situation to really level up their game and take the next step. And I love my list. I mean, like I texted you, like I am ready to rock with this conversation. I'm very, very excited for it.
Yeah, and I think also it's worth pointing out just because you're listing these guys does not mean that you're after them or pursuing them. That's worth pointing out. You as a
I mean,
coach,
listen, I could name like six, I could name anyone. It could be the most outlandish thing in the world. And someone would say some stupid nonsense about this or something. So
you know,
here we are. But thank you for that. One thing that I will say is that always when we do these conversations, Jeff is obviously going to be inclined to mention some players from TBS at times. I am not, and they know that that's not out of disrespect, but there are a few that just I wanted to unapologetically give a shout out to before we get started with the list. I mean, when I think about breakout kids who have just been working their butts off all summer and have been bringing it in elite camps or have been bringing it on their circuits that they played for, I mean, the three from my team that I'm just so proud of the way that they've approached their this offseason. I got to go Julian Lowe. Amazing shooting summer, like very underrated, 40 plus percent on the Adidas circuit throughout July. Um, I think he averaged 17 in the summer havoc at Rise, playing up with the 17 and under division. Like absolutely phenomenal. I shout him out a lot on Twitter because of his grades and because of the experiences that that's going to lead for him. So when you think about Ivy League, Patriot League, like his interest is just really taken off because of that. So that's great. A lot of people forget how good Karan Watlington is right now. Like his injury at the beginning of June, like people really forget like this was a 13.3 rebound, 4 assist guy on the EYBL circuit before he got hurt.
no.
So let's just please remember and put respect on the fact that this is a Division I kid and he's working as hard as he can to get back. So I can't wait to see him just continue to take the reins for us. And then, I mean, this kid, I'm surprised that he wasn't on your list, honestly, is Kamari Nicholson. Like we talked about this, and I just spoke to a few college coaches about him earlier today. And you've said this multiple times on here. The skills that are most valuable right now to college coaches are shooting and rim protection. And for what, like that is the biggest thing. And if you're a rim protecting big who has a motor and can move his feet, that's like gold right now. I mean, with the way that NIL works and the way the transfer portal works, I mean, there's tremendous potential for players like that. He's just scratching the surface of how good he can be. So I can't wait to see where he goes next. But I'm just going to start unapologetically throwing things out there like this. And I think the reason for that is when we get to the season, like I will be candid on here about games. Like
Angry George.
this the same. It's because the kids are all going to hear it anyway. It's going to be the talk in the locker room. So good, bad, ugly, it doesn't matter. I think that that adds an element of transparency to something that it could really be valuable for people to hear. So anyway, shout out to those three. They're my guys. Very
I
proud.
would like to point out that you did what the you said people shouldn't do, and you said I'm surprised this player X was not on your list.
Say
So
it again.
you said I'm surprised Kamari Nicholson wasn't on my list.
Yes.
That's what you said not to do
Why?
to the viewers.
Oh,
We
well,
can't mention everybody. We can't mention
yeah,
everybody.
but these are my players.
We can't mention everybody, guys.
These are
I
my
can only
players.
have one TBS player on my list. Sorry.
But these are my players. if I'm a coach, I can't set aside the fact that
You
I'm a
can't be
coach.
surprised that I can only put one of the four TBS guys on my
Oh,
list.
I see what you're saying now. I see what you're saying now. Yeah, I mean, point taken, but again, whatever. I'm not going to apologize. If you didn't hear your name,
Apologize.
yeah, if you didn't hear your name, get over it. We'll figure it out. All right. Start off your list. Go ahead.
All right, first, pretty easy one. I think Thomas Vickery is a prime candidate to have a breakout season. Transferred to Myers Park, moved there, and he was on that Drifty team as well this past weekend. Really just has all the tools: shooter, size, athleticism, off the bounce ability. He has feel and playmaking ability. I think he's really just scratching the surface of what he's going to become. His recruitment's going to steadily rise. I think being coached by Dory Hines, being in a
Mhm.
position where he's going to be the focal point, the guy at Myers Park, I think that's going to be an inevitable breakout.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that he's getting coached by Dory. Um, to me, that I think is going to help kind of push him in a way that he needs to be pushed. I think extremely highly of his game, having seen him play live twice with Upward Stars and them kicking our butt twice. He was a huge part of that in both games. His super impressive athlete, but I think that his ability to catch and shoot is really what's going to kind of take him to a next level. That in combination with his defense. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
he's really not even scratching the surface of where he can be as a defender, but if he can get a little more disruptive on that end, like it's he's going to really have a chance to do some impressive things.
Yeah, I mean, he should definitely be a player for high major coaches to look for.
No question. Love the first one for me. It's Cam Moore from Greenfield, rising sophomore in the class of 2028. I was actually able to coach Cam when he moved up to play for Team Loaded South at the Phenom Summer Havoc. And outside of the fact that he is a great ball handler at his size, and for his age, he's legitimately 6'6" right now, probably will trend closer to 6'7", potentially 6'8" by the time he's a senior. His greatest skill is his passing.
Yeah,
Like he is a really good passer, not just a kind of good passer, like the ability to make the defense shift with his eyes and throw a no look. There were multiple instances where he'd have a shooter in the corner at this event and he would throw a dart across the court just on a line, perfect in the shot, in right in the shot pocket. Just really impressive. With his IQ really stands out for someone his age. And the benefit of that is, you know this, that doesn't leave you.
right.
Like it shows that going back to our talk about development versus trophies, like the fact that he has that this early and it doesn't have to be taught is only going to further advance his development moving forward. And I think that this will be the year he takes a big step.
Yeah, no, I think I definitely agree. Cam's a special player. I agree that this passing is a special attribute. His feel is off the charts, especially for his age. I think that playing a year of varsity has already kind of prepared him for that. Seeing where he's come from November when I saw him at our Hoops and Dreams to now
Right.
is really impressive. It's clear that he's on an upward trajectory as he continues to develop his shot. He's already able to switch across multiple positions. He can rebound and push and transition and make decisions with the ball in his hands, which is such an invaluable skill in today's game. Um, love his game.
What do you
Uh,
got next?
yeah, for my second one, another obvious candidate, Trevor Manhertz. The dude is huge. Like he's legit 6'8". I was just standing beside him watching him play. It's he's incredible, and it's crazy because he's always been a shooter. He's always been a
Mhm.
40+% shooter, whether he was 5'10", 6'2", 6'5".
Right.
That's been his foundational skill. And as you mentioned earlier, that is a skill that translates to every level. And that's something that, I was thinking about it earlier. I don't want to put too much pressure on the kid or set that bar too high, but this is really kind of an earlier situation of what happened to Trey Murphy in college.
Mhm.
Trey Murphy was a foundational high level shooter. He was 6'4" his whole high school career for the most part, sprouted up in college, got to 6'8", and then became a lottery or
Mhm.
first round pick. And now is a pseudo all star, could be an all star one day in the NBA. And
Yeah.
I think that is kind of the trajectory that Trevor is on right now. great kid. I think going to Christ school is going to just put him in another position to succeed. He was already great at Green Level. He could have stayed and possibly stayed in 2026 and
Yeah.
still gotten high major stuff. I think he's a no brainer for high majors now. I think it's inevitable that he's going to be in a situation where he's going to contend for a title right away at Christ school and have a breakout season as a
Well,
guy.
they can't compete for state titles, but they are
So I've
aware.
heard.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
EYBL.
right. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Sorry.
But do you think he needed to reclass?
You know, I don't know. His body is still developing, so it's an
Sure.
interesting kind of balance of, especially now with money involved. What are your intentions? Are you there? If you're going early, that you're potentially putting money on the table in some instances. I'm not saying his in particular, but for him specifically, I think his body development he needs time to add strength to his frame. I
Sure.
mean, he does need to add strength, but he already continues to stretch out. He's so long, and he is a good athlete. He's a fluid athlete that moves well for his size, especially. So I think it's fine either way for him. He might
Right.
be in a situation also where he could class up next year. He might be so
Right.
good
Right. Right.
come
Sure.
April that people are high majors, just like Cole Rosario, we saw, are like, we'd rather have you now than wait
Yep.
another year.
Sure.
So,
No, I think that that's 100% right. I don't have an answer to the question. I mean, my initial inclination is no. He's tremendous. He shoots the crap out of it. He's only going to get better and better. So it's been cool to kind of follow his path, especially from last fall, because last fall we beat them in fall league.
mhm.
And I was like, who is this? Like this, it was a really off game for him. And I mean, all I have is my initial impression of what it is. Like it's just, but for to see his trajectory since then and to have seen him live multiple times since then, no knock there. I mean, that must have been an off night because he's been killing it ever since. We
Well,
probably
I'd
pissed him
also
off.
like to give a shout out to Cooper Hart. Predicted this growth like three
Right.
years ago. Said when he was like 6 foot that he was going to become like 6'7", 6'8", and
Yeah.
I told Cooper not to do that. So maybe if Cooper listens, he'll hear this.
Yeah. I was gonna say he's not gonna listen anyway, so who cares?
Yeah.
My next one is Kobe Plata. From Southern Wake Academy. He has really turned a corner from the times I've seen him live in June. And from what I've been following, it seems like he's really taking the step as the lead guy for Southern Wake Academy. And, they're losing a lot. So it's a situation where they're going to need him to come in and really advance his game. This is a point guard that has helped that team get to, I believe, state championship twice or Final Four state championship. But
Definitely.
either way, like they're right there, lost at the buzzer last year. They were one possession away from being a state champion team. And, he also had a great summer. So, really excited to see where he does for Coach Q Alston, who does a tremendous job there. One of the good guys in high school and travel basketball. So, he's got great leadership starting at the top. But big shout out to Kobe because I think he's going to take a huge step this year.
Yeah, I really like Kobe's game. I think he kind of has suffered in the past from the true point guard stigma of people say that if you're a true point guard, it's because you can't score. And this is really going to give him an opportunity to kind of showcase the entirety of his game, given how deep Southern Wake was last year, especially with so many, veteran pieces,
Right.
seniors on the team. But he is an incredible passer, touches the paint whenever he wants,
Hmm.
tight handle, pace is insane. So love Kobe's game. I think that's a great pick. For
Cool.
my next guy, I will go for my TBS shout out. Sorry, only one allowed. Garen Holmes. I think he is really on an upward trajectory. Another guy that you could throw in that Trevor Manhurt's question of does he really need a reclass? I think
Yes.
this
I'll
is,
get to that in a second. Yes, he
but
did.
this for him, I think it's more of a recruitment situation. I think his
Yep.
recruitment's going to just develop more over time. But big, strong, athletic wing, 6'5". He's continued to grow into his body, and he's gotten more explosive, and his ball skills and shot has just continued to get improved. What he can be defensively, as we've talked about both publicly and
Mhm.
privately, I think is really exciting. He's really taken pride in becoming a shutdown guy, and that is really going to be a development to watch because if he really becomes this what he is offensively plus a shutdown wing defender, the sky's really the limit for him. It's hard to
Mhm.
not see him going high major at that point, but he's clearly starting to turn heads as he just got an Ohio State offer.
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing to follow his trajectory. His parents have been tremendous. His greatest strength, as I've said on here and in private, is that he just hates to lose. I mean, normal players right now, they go for 28 in a game where technically now he's at 27 playing 26s and he goes for 28 at Peach Jam. And I'm getting my phone just blown up by college coaches. And the first thing he said after the game to me when I texted him how congratulations was, yeah, but coach, we lost. Like they don't make them like that anymore.
Right.
So, I mean, when you start thinking about being cut from that mold, being unselfish, but also having the confidence to deliver, plus 40% shooter, with his level of athleticism, it's going to be a really exciting year for him. Very proud of G, and I can't wait to see where he does what he does next. In a somewhat awkward transition, I'm now going to shout out a player from Burlington Christian Academy. Whether or not they like this shout out, I don't really care. I mean, I think that it's worth doing. I got to go Manny Van Hook. Um, Good summer of development for him in the Top Shot program under Nick Jones, who we've discussed previously. Manny last year, having coached against him, was much more of a player who was fitting into a role. And that role he excelled at, which was I'm going to lock down the other team's best player. And I'm going to get in where I fit in on offense and chip in those 12 to 15 points a game whenever I can, depending on the night. And he gave us fits, man. I mean, when they beat us in the conference tournament championship, I can confidently say, as good as other players on that team were, his impact defensively was the game changer. And now to see him kind of continue to level up and continue to get bigger, stronger, more athletic, he is definitely someone that colleges like people need to have their eyes on him because he's going to continue an upward trajectory because more is going to be demanded from him now. And I think that he's ready to deliver.
Yeah, I agree. I love Manny's game. Uh, Another guy who's like, you got to appreciate his consistency because what he brings defensively every single night, but
Yep,
was adaptable enough to go in and out of what you needed offensively. And I think now, to your aforementioned point about him having a good summer with Top Shot, his offensive game just continues to grow, and I think he'll be a very productive piece for BCA this year.
for sure. Manny, I wish you the best of luck in any game except when we play you. That is all.
For my next one, I have James Minland of Concord Academy. Already, I don't know if this is really a breakout since he's already kind of a
Mhm.
known piece around the state. I think he's on the radar of college coaches, but I think this is really going to be yet another step in his progression. Having seen him throughout the summer from April to now, even, it's just, it's really interesting how he's developing and what he's becoming because he's just become such a mismatch for opponents given his size,
Yeah,
skill. I mean, he's a good athlete, but he's so long and skilled at his size, just naturally able to play, either forward position. He handles the ball. He scores from multiple levels. He's such a great creator, switchable defender, another good guy who can push a rebound and push in transition. Uh, Really another guy who's sky's the limit for. I hate to keep saying that, but just another guy who's really impressive. And I think he'll lead, he'll be one of the many leaders on that Concord team.
team loaded VA helped him tremendously.
Yeah.
His confidence has grown in the summer as a result. His toughness has grown. He's playing with an edge now. I just saw him play at the App State Elite Camp, and he did a good job. Physically, he's just going to continue to get better and better. And I believe in his family, he's got some either siblings or a dad that is pretty tall. I don't remember. But there's someone in his family who's supposed to be like pretty
That is
big.
tall.
So say it again.
That is tall.
I
His
mean,
brother,
so
I
I
think
mean,
I'm pretty sure his brother played.
right. So if you're thinking about him being on that trajectory, I think that he's definitely in the right place. Plus, like I said, he's got the most slept on coach in the state and Frank Cantador. So
Slept on, underrated, whatever.
this player I'm about to name, these next two are legitimately slept on. And the first one that I'm going to shout out is Cam Thompson from Chambers. Um, he has been kind of the junkyard dog for them for as long as you can remember, like dating back to like 2, 3 years ago,
Yep.
being in kind of that same situation. And he has been blessed with a situation where Taurus transfers to Spire, and Marcus transfers to Brewster. And now he has to be that guy that they've got talented pieces around him. Like they have good young guards and they've got some guys that can really get after it and hoop, if you will, since we keep having the debate about what that means. But the person who's most important to that team is him. And his energy and effort is going to dictate how far they go. If he can marry the junkyard dog mentality while getting up to like 15-ish points a game, they're going to be a real threat in their division. And I think that he is kind of the X factor to see that happen.
Yeah, Cam's a really adaptable piece. I think he's kind of, I wouldn't say he's sacrificed so much for these guys for the last 3 years. Even as a freshman, he came off the bench. He was a focal point or a critical piece, rather, a huge X factor for them. But he's just played with so much talent over the years, and there's just not been enough ball to go around. And I think, to your point, this will be a situation where he, QJ Young, Zion White, all three should have a huge season for Chambers as the main pieces. Cam's ability to do everything, guard multiple positions, control the glass for this group. He'll do everything. He's the complete glue that'll hold it all together. And if he's going to struggle, the team will struggle. But they're going to go as far as he's going to take them ultimately. And I think his recruitment should take a leap here soon because he's just going to be so productive this year.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that if you're a player or a coach, rather, that needs that guy who's going to be kind of that junkyard dog and be the person who's really impressive in that way, like you got to go get a kid like that. He's got a place on a college roster for sure.
Definitely. For my last on the list, again, I could have put a lot of different guys on here, had a lot of honorable mentions. I'm going to go with DJ West and at Trinity Academy. I just think he's taking that next step. It's just slowly, gradually, shooter with size, but he's
Good
continued.
summer.
Yeah, shooter with size, but he's continued to expand. He's grown. He looks bigger and stronger, but his game is continuing to grow. But again, maybe it's just me. I just have that affinity for shooting. But
Mhm.
with that as your base skill, and everything else just continues to develop around it, along with his athleticism, I think he's just going to continue to trend upward this year.
Yeah. 80% of Jeff's five are Adidas players, and 40% were Garner Road players. So Jeff is clearly a Garner Road homer. I think that's what I would gather from this list that I've heard.
I just like good basketball, man. I just like good players.
DJ's awesome, man. I mean, he shoots the crap out of the ball. He played really well against us when we played them last year. I don't know if a lot of people remember that, but that was a 10-point game and he really delivered. I think the fact that he obviously, you know, is taking more pride in what his role is while like small, he's just slowly expanding his game the way that he needs to potentially being a little more on the ball at some points this year. Um, I think he's got a real chance. So I've been it's been cool to follow his development through the Adidas circuit throughout the course of the summer. My last one is we love this one. This was one that we both kind of were so pleased with. I got to go Malcolm McNeil at Durham Academy. Um, Kid's kind of been in an all over the place type of situation, high school wise, has played for NCGBB before, and I know that he's been other places before there. Um, Malcolm is now in a situation where he is going to have to embrace being the alpha of Durham Academy. And I'll be honest with you, Jeff, I really think that he can do it. He's in a situation where I don't know that that level of trust has been placed on him, but when you talk about great consistency with coaching and you talk about a great facility space to just grow and improve as an athlete, to lift, to do all the things that they do at Durham Academy for all of their sports, like Malcolm McNeil is, I bet you that that'll be a name when we revisit this in February where we're going to be like, yeah, he's lived up to the hype for sure.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think he's in a situation where he's going to succeed. There were several times where at our events I watched him just completely uplift that NCGB team that was in and out of talent at times. So
Mhm.
I think now that there's some depth and consistency to the day to day, I think it'll only allow him to succeed.
So my final takeaways are that I am a homer for the Burlington school, and you are a homer for good basketball. I think that was the biggest takeaways from this.
And that's not to say that there's not good basketball elsewhere. I
Oh,
guess
sure,
I'm
sure,
just
sure.
saying these guys are more breakout candidates. So again, there were plenty of people that were left off. We could have listed 100,
We
maybe
could have
100.
listed 100. I'm glad we didn't.
Yes.
Let's get into the next topic. Hopefully, we'll revisit that list and those kids will be doing great. But next topic. So now this is a topic where, we've done the comedic section, we've done the top five. The biggest thing now for me is like when we start getting into a trending topic in basketball, this one like is pervasive throughout every year when you start talking about hoops. And that is the disrespect of non-division one levels. So when we have friends in these spaces, we have friends who coach at these different levels. Um, why do you think that there is such a, I don't know, I don't really know. I guess I would say disrespect. Like, why is it that there isn't enough respect given to Division two schools, Division three schools, NAIA schools, junior colleges? Um, because playing at those levels is really freaking hard. Like, why, where does the disrespect come from, in your opinion?
To me, I think it's people just don't understand it because they're not in it. I really do believe that that's kind of the big point. You're not in the practices, you're not in the games. You see basketball as basketball, and anybody can watch basketball and see things that they themselves can do on the court and feel that it's at the end of the day it's just basketball. I can hit open shots. That's why you see the absurdity of people every year saying, "Could they play in the NBA? Could you hit a shot in the NBA?" All
Right.
these things, what have you,
Sure.
and it's like it's just a different game. It's not high school. It's a different animal. I put a list of several guys down here: Tyler Dearman, Julius Birch, Adam Brazel, Josh McClary, just to name a few. These are all D3, ODAC players who were overlooked in high school, and they just worked. And I don't think that there's a single player, outside maybe a handful in North Carolina, that could play these guys and not get absolutely dismantled because of their complete control of the game, what the size and strength that they've added over college, their understanding of the game is
Right.
just so advanced at this point. Um, and it would just be unfair. I think this is almost similar to the Montverde playing Division One basketball argument, where it's like you can't a high school team couldn't go play Guilford College or Hampton Sydney or whomever. I mean, you could say several different teams, but they couldn't go out and play them right now, and it wouldn't be as easy as these people think it would be. And that's another thing about the issue with levels is the stigma of, well, they're Division two or Division three. There are several teams, abundance actually, several dozen teams in each of these levels that could beat Division one schools.
Hmm.
I mean, there are the
Happens every year.
yeah, the label of D1 is really just overrated for headlines. There, because as I said, every year we see it. There's more talent at the top of Division two than at the bottom of Division one. There's more talent at the top of Division three than there is at the bottom of Division two. So, and JUCO produces an abundance of talent every year that gets overlooked for a variety of reasons. Some may have to do with basketball, others probably not, but we see it every year.
I always like getting into the arguments. This is not necessarily directly connected to this with kids. And I remember just, I won't name names, but I've gotten in arguments with kids in the past, and I'll say, like, their perspective is just so idiotic. Like, who's the worst player in the NBA? And it's like all rooted in emotion. So they'll be like, oh, Russell Westbrook. And I'd be like, guys, Russell Westbrook would enter our gym. He would lace up his shoes. He would warm up for 10 seconds, and then he would proceed to win every single pickup game that he wanted to win by an unbelievably impressive amount. Like, you're not saying things that are logical. Again, because to your point, you're not in it. Like, you
Right.
haven't seen enough of it to have a great enough appreciation for it. I love the quote from Brian Scalabrine. I'm closer to LeBron than you are to me.
It's real.
Like, how real is that? And to your point, I think that what I love in the TBT tournament is seeing the Division three guys go at it.
Yeah,
and really win those games. Those are some of the most impressive things. But you named a couple names. I mean, I'll name one, Toby Harris.
yeah. Love Toby.
Like this is a kid that should have been a Division I player, was a surefire assassin, 6'7", shoots the crap out of the ball, will dunk on you in a second. And then when he gets to college, all he does is add weight. I mean, he's probably 6'7", 210 now, or at least 200 pounds.
Yeah,
And now he's playing at Iona, correct?
correct.
So, I mean, like, it's not a matter of that. I think that sometimes part of the reason I wanted to have this conversation is just the stigma of, well, is it D1 or anything? And I think that what kids have to realize is that there is tremendously good basketball at all levels of basketball, specifically in college. There is great junior college basketball. There is great NAIA basketball. And I think the more important thing is to, like you've said, do your research and go find out more about the schools before you just disregard it as if it's not a big deal. That would be my biggest advice from this segment. But what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, totally agree. I think Toby's situation kind of had more to do with COVID and the weird recruitment.
Sure, sure,
And
sure,
again,
sure.
coaches were watching him in front of them and still not understanding what they were watching. So, but yeah, I agree with you. I think it's just something that you kind of need to understand. You don't watch Hampton Sydney on ESPN like you watch Duke and Carolina.
Right,
So
right. Good
I
point.
remember a couple of years ago talking to a referee who told me about her nephew who was a Division I kid, and I knew who the kid was, and I said he wasn't, and she was like, "Oh, well, I'm not talking about like Duke or Carolina. I'm talking just like even like lower." I was like, "Oh, for sure, still not good
Right,
player, but no." And that really, she still reminds me of that moment, and will tell me about that time, and talk about how now she kind of gets it a little bit
right.
more. So
I mean, I think that more, I would love for kids and teams to go and watch Division III games more closely. We've done that as teams that I've had in the past. At Henderson Collegiate, we went to games at NC Wesleyan, like coached by John Thompson when Nigel Thomas was the assistant coach there. And you're looking at these guys like, no, dude, these guys are for real. Chris Sauce was on that team, by the way, which is pretty funny to think about.
yeah,
Um, but I think that I'd like to see a greater level of appreciation for it. I'd especially like to see it not only for the Division III teams, but how about the ridiculously talented Division II teams we have in this state? Like
yeah,
outside of our guys at Pembroke, like Winston-Salem State, like elite. Lenore Ryan, elite. Like Mount Olive getting better. Like really in a
Watauga,
position. Yeah, man. Like what are we talking about? Like it's not like, some of the best players in the state who were so widely regarded and so a part of the hype train go to these places and really struggle. You would agree with that. That is true.
yeah. You watch it every year. You watch these guys go to a level that they probably should be able to succeed at, and then the actual the actual regimen, the actual basketball, the toughness required. Some of these kids just can't cut it. They just can't pan out, and then you see them have to transfer, figure it
Right.
out.
Man, have more respect for these levels, man. I'm just telling you guys, like go do your research, go watch a game, go be in a practice. Like if you want to get recruited by these teams so bad, go play them in pickup. The coach will allow those things to happen. Just get your physical, get your stuff in. Like if you're the real deal, go do it. I mean, I just think I wish that there was a greater level of appreciation for that, but we're in a very unique state where we have so many different schools at the different levels. We get to see it firsthand. But shout out to those guys, man. You guys keep doing the hard work if you're the guys in college who are trying to gain that respect because people who know basketball see it.
Yeah,
And whether or not it is ever meant to be seen, because this narrative has been true since back when I was in high school. I don't know that the narrative itself will ever go away. It's just time to put some respect on the name of non-Division I schools. So hopefully that takes place.
yeah.
Uh, Last thing, sound off. Um, I'm pumped for mine. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to take it?
I'm pumped for mine too, but I'll let you. I'll go first.
All right, cool, cool, cool.
All right, mine's gonna be quick and it's pretty deliberate. Parents,
Oh my.
feel free to parent. You can parent, do all the parenting you want. Spectate basketball games. Unless you are a coach, spectate. I think that there can be some type of misconceptions of people being for or against kids, and that's absurd. So I just want parents to remember that in all facets and contexts. So again, this probably will reach no one. So what does it matter? I can be mad about it here at in my house,
You can be
my
way
apartment.
more direct than that.
I could. They may never hear it, but I'll leave it to you.
I appreciate that sentiment as a parent. And I definitely understand where you're coming from in that way as a writer from an event, especially this weekend and past weekend. So I get it. Here's what I'm going to address. There are too many people right now in the social media space. And this is how I phrase it. I just had to write down a quick sentence. Who are over celebrating kids at these major circuits to build their own brand through engagement rather than provide accurate information. I saw a shout out list the other day with 81 children on the list. So there were 81 players worthy of that. 80 in one age group. There are 81 players. So now, because people are like, oh, George is hating, no, no, no. I'll give you the math because it was an EYBL shout out. There are 38 teams on the EYBL, 17 and under. If you take that and you multiply by eight players per team ish, say that that's the average, you get a little north of 300. Okay. If you divide the 81 shoutouts by the 300 some overall players in EYBL, that gives you a total percentage of over 25%. So in one shout out in one age group, you shouted out 1/4 of the players that were there. 1/4 of the players deserve being at that elite status. Like, what message are we sending to children? You can be average and you'll still be celebrated because engagement on social media will blind you. That's ridiculous. Here's another related note. I did some more math. This does not include the Puma circuit. Listen, this does not include the Puma circuit, what I'm about to tell you. There are 38 EYBL teams. There are 40 Adidas 3SSB teams, and there are 28 UAA teams. That is 106 teams. Guys, that's too many teams. That's absurd. So between the three major shoe circuits, and you're hearing this from an Adidas person, literally a director of an Adidas program, if we're going to talk about top 100 lists and top 150 lists and top two, there's 106 teams here. That doesn't even include another shoe circuit that also has a large group of teams. What message are we sending to anybody? Like when Jeff said a few episodes ago that everything was watered down, you just saw the problem. We're shouting out every kid that exists. You laced your shoes up, man. You deserve a shout out. Hey, you set foot on that court. You missed that shot. You get a shout out. You're out there. What are we doing? And of all the things, like I know that the AAU space, I don't know, no one will listen anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm so perplexed by like what are we trying to do? This is why when I said that money rules the world and everything is transactional, those are the two examples. There is no reason to have that many sponsored teams outside of money. There's no reason because there's not enough players that are worthy of being on those programs. If you just took a top 100 list and you divided them by the 106 teams I just named, you wouldn't have enough players to put one on every team. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So that's something to change. I'll say, oh, well, George can lead a meeting or like it won't matter. It doesn't matter. Money rules the world. It's a new era. It's a new thing to get used to. But it's not solving any problems and it's diluting the quality. And as a result of it diluting the quality, you're not teaching kids how to embrace team and roles and things that will actually help them be successful in college basketball and then later in life. So here we are. That's my diatribe for today about the ridiculousness of watered down basketball in the United States.
Well said. I That's without even including the secondary circuits or the New Balance circuit.
I mean, like, and then you have the independent teams.
Yeah.
But it's just, it does, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. What is earned anymore? Like, what is it? I mean, I don't understand that at all. I really don't get it.
This
But
this goes hand in hand with what we've talked about several times throughout these episodes.
if someone somewhere will please just listen to that message, tell me in any way that you want me to fix whatever needs to be fixed. I'm sure I'm a part of the problem by being in some capacity with it. I just would like to be able to walk into this space and it mean more. That's what I would like. I would like to walk into any event and have it mean more than just I get to show up and be here. But, that's neither here nor there. That's a conversation for another day. But thank you guys for tuning in for another episode. For the 15 of you that are repeat listeners, we appreciate you so much. For Cooper Hart, who only listened to the first episode, we're watching for you, Coop. Make sure that you do, because I think that a friendship is on the line here. I think you would agree, Jeff. Like it's too egregious of a mistake to miss multiple episodes.
Yeah, Cooper, send what the degree is over George's right shoulder. Send a text message with that if you've listened to this.
Cooper, if Jamie Shaw listens to everyone,
Get off your high horse.
get off your high horse. Well said. We'll see you guys next week.